Alright, loading in this stupid map with this stupid face. I can never cast on this map seriously because of it. Oh, sorry, as I pressed on the wrong button. Setting up the score as it is 2-2. We find ourselves in the ace match, game 5. One of these two will sadly be knocked out of the tournament. The other one will move on to the semifinals. And for those who don't know, the semifinals and the finals are all scheduled to play for tomorrow. So, spawning here in the bottom right corner of the map, it's going to be the blue Terran player, Nearsoft's Krass.
Upper left as the green Protoss, it's State.
Alright, State has shown a very strong first set of games to this. I'm really surprised Krass brought this back. Not to say anything against Krass, it's just like I really felt the momentum of everything was in the favor of State. Those first two games look so strong, those first games look so good. But something's happened, something's clicked, either Krass woke up or State's starting to fall off, but as we find ourselves in the final map, these are probably the best spawns these guys could hope for. No one really getting an overpowered spawn location, no horizontal crap like that. It's just mano-a-mano cross spawn on Infernal Pools.
Well, I think there have been very obvious points where State has lost out in these last two games. They didn't suddenly shift over to being like, oh, Krass just played a really solid game, like, okay, golf clap. That the first two games were for State. It was just State blinks and loses the Blink Stalkers. It is quite obvious. He lost the 8 or whatever it was on Van Eye, and then he lost the 5 or 6 on Catalina. I mean, I guess if there was one thing I would tell him, it's like, stop being so brave with your Stalkers. It's usually a trademark of a very good Protoss player, why Blink openers can be very effective, is that you can pick off units and found counterattacks that maybe you can't otherwise, but if you're losing the Blink Stalkers, just might be better just to hole up in your main.
Yeah, I could definitely get behind that thought process. It's for State 2, it's not even like these have been going back to Van Eye 2 especially, like it's like, oh cool, Blink Stalkers, wait, this is suddenly very awkward, what's going on?
Yeah.
Last game as well, I mean, he just that Blink, we saw the Stalkers dancing left and right, not out of BM but out of confusion, like where do I go, what do I do?
Yeah, I think what happened was he actually just you know, when you do this so often, you kind of have like a plan for everything, right? So it's like, okay, the Blink Stalkers will attack forward, and then the worst case scenario, retreat backwards. And you just went to like habit mode, retreat backwards, as opposed to running to the right.
Yeah, I think that's actually a good way to describe it, habit mode. Just there's like a lot of motor memory and stuff, but State is like good guy State. He's like the one guy who doesn't do oracles, I guess. I mean,
I know. What is this?
The Reaper doesn't even scout to the goal, like, or to the north, pardon me. And this one is such a sick. Can you imagine sneaking back here? Like, it's so unlikely this gets scouted. You put a pylon back here, Stargate right next to your opponent's main. Like, oh my god.
You know when this map would never have existed? In Wings of Liberty, because of high ground warpins.
Oh my god.
Do you remember that?
I
Like,
just had like a mini aneurysm remembering that.
That was always so stupid. You could like a mortal bus with the pylon next to the ridge in the main and start warping in the main. Like, oh. Yeah.
I'm also really glad they removed the high ground power too. Not just. Okay, well that's cool. He's gonna ninja base it up. I was gonna say though, it's not even just the pylon for the high ground warpins, but like when you could build cannons off of that too. Like that was so stupid.
Yeah, imagine a Stargate in your base, guys.
Well, the probe would have to somehow get up there. But yeah. Okay, so let's talk about this for a moment. Like, this is really important to me. We see a lot of times where we'll see this base come down, and it looks so cool. And they'll get away with mining on it, and they'll mule it like crazy. But it feels like oftentimes we see this happen. I'm not saying that this is the detriment, but just as a coincidence, the Terran player still loses those games.
Yeah. I agree. I've seen a lot of that happen. It is a smart move, though. You know,
what if this isn't for this base? What if it's for this base?
Or the gold base. Very ballsy. Like, it might be for the island base, though, simply because they didn't put it on location.
That would be so sick. I would love, because there's a chance maybe a probe comes up here or a Zella comes up here, right? But why would you ever scout this base? And he loads up the SCP too.
Claps all around, guys.
I love it.
No,
oh, please God, let Krass win this game now. Not because of anything against State, but he's the first player we've cast to take this base.
Plus the only Terran left.
That too as well, also, but this is a little more important to me just because of going back to our way station debates, right? Like those days.
It's important to you as a person. It's like one of your, like, it's in your ethics.
This has been a big deal for Rifkin, guys. If you've been a long enough fan of Base Trade TV, you know this.
Other thing, like, I remember there was something that you always wanted to happen, but, like, it never did. God, what was it?
I don't know. I know it was on Way Station. I had the island-based debates for a long time.
Okay, it probably was that then. I feel like it's something on like Habitation Station as well. Oh well. This is really cool. Basically, this is exactly like having a normal base because you don't transfer SCVs to a hidden base anyways. If you do, it's really risky and almost pointless because it's a
you don't want to give it away.
Yeah, so, and what's also really nice is that he's identified that State has basically just been playing very passive. Like, sure, the Blink Stalkers, which have messed up every single time, by the way, have been around, but they really aren't that aggressive, and the only thing you're gonna, like, be scared of going for this quick third CC is an aggressive build.
Well, State has shown Warp Prism play, and there's a small chance that he decides to rally it through the north, like, up around here, and then come down this way, like, to the south. But I feel like that's not going to happen.
I think it's pretty possible. You want to go for that main, usually.
I don't know, man. I just, it's going to hurt so bad. You put all this effort into it, and he warps in like 2 Zealots. It shuts it down.
Yeah. It sucks he's getting such an early Warp Prism, too. Like, if it was 13 minutes, I'd be like, well, at least he got, like, a lot of mules on it, but I guess he'll lose all the SCVs that he's produced either way. Oh, it's going to see it! Oh, my God. Oh.
And it's fresh meals too. It's the worst part.
My question is, like, unless you're thinking very, very, very late game where a base trade might happen, why not just go for your own island?
I think the idea was like this would. There is a much larger chance this gets scouted elsewhere, though. I mean, this is gonna. Oh god, this is so painful. The idea is that this, I think, was supposed to just get away with a sneaky factor. More than anything else.
It's your own island.
Yeah. Yeah.
Plus, it's a lot easier to defend. Like, you're gonna get medevacs versus their war prisms. Like, you just have like a drop-off war. Okay,
then maybe it's the equivalent of an FU. I don't know. I love that he went for it though, and we do have the Stalkers coming out to chase down the command center. After all, it's quite slow.
You know, I was talking about State doing kind of the same thing almost every single game, but he has mixed it up finally. He did go for Blink and Colossus, which is basically what he was going to every single game, but instead of opening up Blink, it comes along with the Colossus.
Do you think he takes the gold? Yeah, he's going straight for the gold.
Why not?
Because of the cliff?
Well, no. No. But if State is really going to be passive like he has been in the past 2 games, he's still going to get a lot from that gold base. We're having to lift it.
The blue Terran dots on the minimap, by the way, kind of look like tears in the eyes.
Oh, the command center's like a nose right now.
I know! It's so stupid! Like, there's the eyes, guys. There's a couple of tears. Here's a nose. There's the mouth open up, yelling. Okay, double jobs unload here towards the third base of State. State does have Colossus out, so defending this should be fairly easy. But as he baits everything to the wrong side, he might go towards the main. There are a couple of Zealots waiting for him, but really not that much had he dedicated to it. Blink Stalkers, of course, would have eventually gotten up that cliff.
Double Forge for State. They have pretty late upgrades. This will make up for that.
He's eating a blueberry.
Nom nom.
This is such a stupid map. It's like the hungry hippos, right? Like yum 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 yum.
Oh, that is what it's like. Oh, that's disturbing.
Okay, well, the game does continue. We do have medevacs picked up, and Krass, well, I really applaud the attempts at drops, but I don't know that this is going to pick State apart just yet. The nice thing about the way he took his bases is with that little back cliff, responding with blinks will get him around to where he needs to, the main, to the natural, to the third. It's mostly the Colossus that come into question, because the Colossus have to go the long way around no matter what base they want to defend, but there is at least this cliff to go from the main to the third.
Yeah, that's nice. Well, still no aggression from State. Does he even scout that the gold base is taken? No. He has an observer over the army. Actually not sure what that's going to do anymore. And a warp prism off to the right.
Nice catch. Painful. Beautiful catch out of State. That supply plummets for Krass.
Oh, unless that was all Marauders.
If this was primarily Marauders, unloading it directly on top of the Colossus would have been devastating.
Would have been awesome, but it's not, so don't do it.
Well, splits the direction of the medevacs. Looks like the ones in the natural will get away with a bit, but oh no, again in the main. Krass,
They
it's
use
like
boosts there.
it's like his island base got figured out and he just fell apart afterwards. Like, I put my heart and soul into that, man. And you just bring a warp prism like some kind of jerk?
He's embarrassed because he knew that you're really, very, very excited for it.
Maybe. The nice thing though is with this gold base, he does have a lot of extra income. Mules are already crazy as is. Mules don't get a benefit from the gold base mining, but just mules period plus the gold base period, it's gonna work really nice for his income. And that's a lot of extra marines you get to produce. It's a lot of extra marauders, and those medevac losses are kind of, I think, bridged by this, but that's Krass more giving away his lead in an attempt to catch up.
Well, isn't it 3 medevacs? 2 on the bottom, 1 in the main.
Yeah, 5 in total.
Oh my god! All right, yeah. I don't know.
Oof.
But also it's gonna suck because again it's gonna be that adrenaline rush. So like, okay, great, I'm gonna get maxed out, but I missed my opportunity to do like this big surprise. I have a lot of units because I got the gold base because I lost so many medevacs. So I'm gonna get maxed. You're gonna get maxed, and then I'm gonna have to expand to somewhere that's not as cool as a gold, where State's getting maxed on the minerals now, and then gets the gold.
Well, he ate too many blueberries. That's a mess now. I don't know, Zombie Grub. I'm not feeling it for Krass. His control's been off this game so far. His composition's not the hottest. Ghosts are coming out pretty quick, and I like that, but it's just such a big army from State. And with a gold base for a Protoss player, warping in 13 Zealots is a lot different than making 13 Marines at a time.
Yeah, that's for sure. Although 13 Marauders at a time would be impressive.
That would be. That's a lot of freaking money, though.
Yeah, it's gas. Oh, that is quite a good army. It's actually the scariest army I've ever seen from a Protoss. More Archons, more High Templars, but still pretty good.
He's got Storm completed, I think, right? Yeah, Storm is done for this, so it's Templar.
But only 2 High Templars.
Yeah. Still, just the option of having it. I love that he's putting cannons on the high ground. Such a smart move, because this is how the cliff would get abused, if anything. Just having one drop or a couple of Marines run up there. Warp Prism gets annihilated by the turrets. Nice placement, but there's a Zealot that did get unloaded, so going to be a bit of a pain to deal with. Meanwhile, the main army from State is posturing and ready to come in for a fight, and that's it's a lot of Vikings, but it's not enough Vikings.
Yeah, he could deny mining at the gold base, but then he would have a cliff to face with the Vikings there, and that might be a little dangerous. So he's going to take the position here. The planetary is not done, and oh my god, Krass isn't paying attention. Gets caught in those time warps. Kind of brutal.
Here comes the Storms, though. Wasn't ready for this. The EMPs have already been used. Does manage to get one up, but it doesn't hit the other Templars. So Storm forces what little there's on the ground to split. He will kill the Colossus, though, and somehow hold on to this fight.
Yeah, that actually went perfectly fine despite getting caught in 2 time warps. The Blink Stalkers you survive, like the kind of opposite of the last 2 games.
It was like, yeah, well, that's funny in and of itself. But I mean, like, he got caught kind of like almost AFK. Like, he wasn't paying attention to that. He was looking at the one Zealot in the main. The time warps, as you said, the EMPs were pretty lackluster. Like, I'm really surprised that went well for Krass, much less as well as it did.
Yeah. They both had quite a bank behind that, so they both get back up in supply rather quickly. And there's a couple of more command centers going down there. 1, 2, there you go. Upgrades are finishing up. Marauder's slow, forgotten. Which goes in now.
Concussive Shells hasn't been that big of a deal up to this point because there hasn't been Zealots, but now there is, and that's where, yeah, this starts to hurt a little bit more. Not being able to kite those so easily. No Widow Mines, man. This is where you want a ton of Widow Mines.
Do you remember when Hellbats were so overpowered, the Hellbat Marauder composition?
Yeah, and people still try to argue that Blue Flame's good against Hellbats or Zealots, and I'm like, yeah, okay, you're cute.
Oh, that didn't go so well. Losing a Marauders is quite painful. They're expensive, and of course they're not reactored.
Lots of cannons, a couple of storms. I think this is looking like the end.
Yeah, that might have been a killing blow to Krass himself. Gold base is gonna get denied here.
Oh, did he just throw 3 EMPs on 1 Templar? Seriously? Oh my god. Well,
it's like State's gold base is nope. It's good.
It's good, yeah.
Yeah, good storms.
I could kill the Colossus should be nice. Colossus might also kill the Marauders, depending how this goes. Awkward rally is awkward though, and Yeah, that's it. Gold base goes down. Krass just doesn't have the production. He's got the bank, but he doesn't have the production to make enough of anything to really work with this.
Yeah. That's too bad, you know, if that entire army was back at home, like not dying in the drops, State's army wasn't that impressive in my opinion.
Yeah, no, it was
one
mostly,
Colossus.
Yeah, mostly zealots. Yeah, exactly. More marauders, more concussor shells, which means more marine fire, ghost fire, whatever the case may be. But this is just balls. Don't have a better way to phrase that. He's also got an observer directly on top of the army, so State knows exactly what the condition of Krass's army looks like.
Yeah. There's still a chance for Krass to take a really good engagement. There is. It's quite hard to do. I mean, trying to be biased here, but it does seem like we usually see the Protoss death ball, you know, like the High Templars are hidden and the storms come out and you're not expecting it. The Terran dives in on the ghosts and as such loses them before actually getting the EMPs. Like, it seems to always go worse for the Terran or just okay, not so much snowballing, but it could happen.
State, by the way, throwing down a ton of cannons because that's what the gold base has afforded him to do with this massive bank behind it. The Colossus get caught a little off guard, and there's really not that many Stalkers. This is a very awkward engagement to take, but
yeah,
one he kind of has to. The Templar are not in range for storms either. The Zealots are slowly wrapping around the back.
Yeah, there we go. I was wondering why he wasn't killing the Colossus despite the High Templars being just right there, but it started out really, really great. Doesn't pick up the majority of that army. A lot of it is in Viking, so...
The problem is, like, as these Vikings start dying, you might think, great, because there's no more Colossus, who cares? But there's 2 at a time, 2 more Robos are finishing up. Is he seriously going to produce 4 Colossus at the time? God knows he's going to have the money for it after this base starts saturating up.
Oh my god.
Choosing to fight around the planetary is probably his best option, truth be told, but even then, I don't think it's going to be enough. SCVs are pulled into the fight. If he pushes this back, that's cool and all, but he's got no round 2.
If the storms weren't there, he would have done really well. And even with the storms, he's doing okay. He's pushing it back. And they are at even supply. State's bank has been used, although he could morph in a lot of Archons right now, with 4 Colossus at a time.
Oh,
that's where that bank goes to.
The 4 Colossus are ridiculous. It's just borderline impossible for Krass with the money, the income he has to keep up on the Viking production, much less make Marines from Marauders or even a Ghost on the side.
Oh, Krass. If he only, like, if those 3 drops were turning to 6 drops, 7 drops had just been alive, I mean, he could have been dropping the outlying bases right now. You know, dropping the 4 bases that State has, including the gold, is a good attempt. But keeping the 5th and the 6th would have been really hard for State. That's the drops would have been really good.
It kills me watching this observer. Like, he's scouted 3 different observers up to this point. Like, maybe he doesn't want to burn a scan, pop an EMP to reveal it. Like, this is what's been hurting Krass the most. State knows exactly what he can make, what he should make. You know, seeing this many medevacs and no Vikings coming out, that's why he goes for 4 Colossus at a time. He knows what he's able to do. Oh, the storms. Disgusting.
That's so many Archons. There are a lot of EMPs. They'll go down pretty fast.
Yeah. As you see, just getting it melted. But will that matter? The Stalkers can't quite push into this. The Planetary Fortress not exactly involved with the fight, but for Krass, he's just playing this game where he's constantly defending, and you can't win a game defending.
If you could take out all of these Colossus and the rest of the army, okay, you won't do it, then the supply would be back into almost even, as I say that. Another huge warping of Zealots, so I guess not. Krass. It's doing such a great job, but it is down by 70 supply.
He's giving out like 9 Colossus, like 25 Zealots. It's the most absurd composition you've ever heard of for a Protoss player, but because he's got the money, he can do what he likes. He can bully in, take very cost-ineffective trades. And if he didn't have these extra 2 bases in the top right, I'd say Krass has a pretty good chance. But because he does, and because they're actually saturated, because they're mining, it's looking pretty bad for Krass. He can't even really afford to make an orbital out of this command center right now. That's how bad this is.
Yeah, yeah. But, you know, the armor supplies have never been so terrible. Not the 60 supply that we see on the overall. Because he has been so low on SCVs, that isn't necessarily a good thing unless you had a humongous bank and plenty of orbitals. He's still gonna wait in that perfect engagement. With mass charge lots, though, it becomes like really hard to get a perfect engagement. You gotta find a good choke, kill the Colossus so the choke doesn't hurt you with splash damage. I would say like Widow Mines, getting good shots would be a good way to kill those charge lots, but we don't see any.
It's so sad to look at this. Because Krass has actually got this composition where in Europe this is fantastic if you get Cloak. But because he's missing Cloak, there's just no way to actually fight with this. The amount of observers is almost non-existent. I take that back. But they're all over the map, is what I meant to say. They're not here. It's like 1 or 2 observers on these front lines. Cannon's coming down because he is worried about something like stealth, but he's not going to be able to use ghosts to any real extent.
You know, if he could get a ton of Vikings, if he had the money for a ton of Vikings, this army could actually just be killed, you know? The Vikings would park over whatever didn't have an arc underneath it, and they would kill the Colossus. Well, the Colossus is doing a lot of damage, but he doesn't have that many Vikings. 11 Vikings to 9 Colossus.
Who needs stalkers when you got cannons, though, to cover them?
Who needs stalkers? You have too many freaking Colossus.
Alright, so there's 8 Widow Mines in these medevacs.
Oh God, die.
Oh, my heart! Call 911! I mean, the cannons are bad enough, but the feedback was just like... The feedback was just twisting the blade, you know?
Oh, it's really painful.
He's contained. Krass is in a pretty bad spot. He's got a decent army supply. Oh, that SCV was being a dick, I guess. Army supply aside, he's never gonna be able to match the resupply potential. Whether it is warping in 13 zealots at a time, kind of joking around, or whether it's actual stalkers or 4 Colossus, doesn't matter. He can't match that. Even if he takes this gold base, it's been mined out. That adrenaline rush is long gone. Let's go for the island base. Oh, hype!
Yeah, rehype. This game started.
If that's what brought him back in the game, it'd be so sick. But I think it's gonna end before that base even really lands. Storm's going down like crazy. He is going to try and kite back. And there's a lot of ghosts in this composition, which means a lot of EMPs. But, I don't know, Ghost vs. Colossus, I don't think ghosts win most of the time.
No. Well, there was that one game where Ghosts Cloaks killed a bunch of Colossus. What's not going to happen here? The death of Terran. Oh no. Hey, those EMPs are pretty good.
He's actually going to take this fight.
He's actually going to take this fight.
He shouldn't, but he does. But he's got no army underneath this. And State's going to be able to warp in way too much. He knows this as well. Good game. What a way to lose the game. Like, oh, I just won the engagement, but I'm tapping out. See you later.